Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going super old school, cracking open the book of Genesis.
Going deep on those early chapters, 12 and 14.
And look, I know what you're thinking. Genesis, Sunday school, been there, heard that.
But trust me, this is different. We're going way beyond the surface.
Uncovering the historical stuff, the culture, all those layers you don't always see.
Right, and you'll be surprised at how these events, they're like echoes, parallels to what happens generations later. We're working with these religious education plans, the kind of stuff that makes you go, wait, how did I miss that?
Okay, so picture this. You're Abram, right? Living new and love in Canaan. You're set. Then boom, this divine message. Drop everything, journey to some land God's promised you. Would you actually? I mean, seriously.
It's wild, right? But that's the whole foundation of Abram's story. The land, descendants beyond counting, blessings for everyone through him. That's high stakes.
Talk about pressure. But then famine hits. Now, if I'm Abram, I'm thinking, wait, God, I thought we had a deal.
Right, you'd think so. But instead of relying on that promise, what does he do? Egypt. And that's huge. Because Egypt in the Bible, it's not just a place. It's abundance, it's fertile, but it's also temptation. It was a challenge to Abram's faith, Egypt had the Nile, reliable crops when other places struggled.
So it's like his faith is tested immediately, and he chooses logic over trusting God's plan, which honestly leads him to a pretty wild decision.
It does. The lesson plan highlights this, how Abram is scared, he lacks trust. He thinks the Egyptians will kill him for his wife Sarai, who we're told was stunningly beautiful. So he tells her to pretend she's his sister.
Okay, look, I'm not saying I'd handle it better, but that's a big yikes, right?
Huge. He's contradicting God's plan, point blank. And this lie, this seemingly small thing, it has major consequences.
All right, what happens? You got to tell me.
So Pharaoh, he sees Sarai and, well, he's smitten, brings her into his household. But here's the irony. Because of Sarai, Abram gets showered with gifts. Flocks, servants, camels, you name it.
Are you serious? So he doubts, yet he still benefits. That's
Wow. But God steps in eventually, right? This can't just slide.
Oh, he does. And the lesson plan, it connects this whole thing, Abram, Sarai, Pharaoh, to the Israelites' exodus from Egypt generations later. It's like Abram and Sarai were trapped in a powerful ruler's house before God intervened with plagues to free them.
Wow. So it's a mini exodus, hinting at the big one later. Is that common, these echoes in the Bible? Small-scale mirroring huge events?
Definitely. And like the famine in Abram's time, famine forces Jacob and his family to Egypt generations later. This hardship, then deliverance. It's cyclical, Makes you think about history repeating.
Makes you wonder what God was trying to teach them all.
Yeah.
Okay, back to Abram. What happens after he and Sarai are free from Pharaoh?
Well, Pharaoh lets them go. They leave Egypt even richer than when they got there. But their return to Canaan, it ain't all sunshine and roses. More challenges pop up.
Because nothing says family fun like a land dispute, but you said it. Newfound wealth, sure, but faith tested. Abram's back. And now his herdsmen. They're fighting with his nephew, Lot's herdsmen. Resources, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Too many cows, not enough grass.
Makes sense, but what's that got to do with Abram directly?
Remember, God promised Abram this land. But instead of saying, this is mine, Abram makes Lot an offer. He says, look, the land's right there. You choose. I'll take what's left.
Sounds pretty generous on the surface.
Yeah, it does. He's letting Lot pick first from the land God promised him. Why would he do that?
That's the question, isn't it? Selfless Abram? Or something else going on? Remember how we talked about Egypt being abundance, but also temptation?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
How does that tie in here?
Well, Lot. He chooses the Jordan Plain. Lush, fertile, close to the city of Sodom.
Sodom. Yeah, that's a name that rings a bell.
Yeah.
And not in a good way, right?
Not exactly. Sodom, as we'll get into, represents that worldly pleasure, the danger of straying from God's path. The lesson plan compares that Jordan Plain back then to the Garden of Eden, even to Egypt, because of its abundant fertility. No way. It's like Lot walks straight into a trap. He chose this place that's everything God despises over being with Abram, who clearly has God's favor.
It's a choice that speaks volumes. But it's just the beginning. Remember King Cheater-Lamer?
Oh, yeah. What about him?
His story's about to collide with Lot's.
Hold on. Are you saying Elham?
Oh, we're just getting started. Welcome back. So last time, remember we were talking about Lot and how his story is about to collide with King Cheater-Lamer. And this isn't just, some footnote in history. This is a big deal. Geopolitics, drama, you name it.
All right, hit me with that drama then. Who was Cheater-Lamer again, and what's he got to do with Lot?
Okay, so Cheater-Lamer, he's the king of Elam. Think modern-day Iran. And he's on this mission, right?
Yeah.
Squash a rebellion happening among the city-states in Canaan. And guess which city happens to be right in the thick of it? Sodom.
Oh no, poor Lot, seriously. First, he chooses to live by the city that's practically temptation central, and now he's stuck in rebellion. What are the odds?
Right. But here's where it gets really interesting. The lesson plan dives into the history, see?
Yeah.
It explains that this whole conflict, it wasn't just about putting down a rebellion. Lammer, he was playing the long game. He wanted control of the trade routes going right through Canaan. Those were vital.
So it all boils down to power and money in the end. Some things never change, huh? But where does that leave Lot in all of this?
Okay, so Lamer is marching south, conquering city after city. Each win, it's like he's tightening his grip on these trade routes. Sodom, along with those other rebellious cities, they get defeated. And you guessed it, Lot. He's captured.
Talk about wrong place, wrong time. But wait, this is where Abram comes back into play, right? Like he's the one who rescues Lot.
Exactly. Word gets to Abram about Lot being captured, and he jumps into action.
Yeah.
And remember, so far, Abram's the shepherd, the traveler.
Oh.
But now, bam, he's a warrior.
See, I love that. Just when you think you've got Abram figured out, he throws a curveball. But how can he realistically go up against an army with just a bunch of, like, shepherds? It doesn't make sense.
You'd think it'd be impossible, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The Bible tells us that he rounded up his men, and get this, it was a force of just 318 servants, the ones born into his household. That's it. And they set off on this super dangerous rescue mission. And guess what? They win. They chase Chedorlaomer's army all the way up north to Damascus. They come back with Lot, all the goods, everything.
Hold up. 318 guys versus an actual army? How is that even possible?
I know. It seems crazy, right? But the lesson plan points out that number. 318. Add those digits up. 3 plus 1 plus 8. What do you get?
Let's see. That's 12. What's the big deal about 12?
12 in the Bible is often symbolic. It represents perfect government, divine order, that kind of thing. So it's like Abram, with God's help, he assembled the exact number of men needed to win. Makes you wonder if Abram even realized the meaning behind it.
Man, that gives me chills. It's like that little detail was put there for a reason, you know? Like a little proof that something bigger was at work here. But this victory, it leads to another really important part of the story, doesn't it?
You bet. Because after this huge victory, Abram has this very important meeting. He finally encounters the mysterious Melchizedek.
Dude, yes, Melchizedek. We've been building up to this. Who is this guy, and why is meeting him such a big deal?
Well, that's what we're going to find out after the break.
Okay, we're back. Finally gonna meet this Melchizedek guy. It's like, we've been on the edge of our seats. Who is this guy, and what makes him so important?
Melchizedek, he's one of those figures in the Bible,
Yep.
really makes you think. Easy to skip over, but then you dig a little and it's like, whoa, this is a big deal. See, Abram's just won this huge victory, right? Rescued Lot, defeated a whole army.
Yeah, he's earned some serious bragging rights at this point.
Totally. So he's heading home and two kings come out to meet him. First, there's King Bera of Sodom. Not exactly, shall we say, a good guy in this story, but the second king, that's when things get interesting. Melchizedek.
All right, lay it on me. Who is this Melchizedek?
He's called the King of Salem, which a lot of people think is ancient Jerusalem. But here's the real kicker. He's also a priest of God Most High.
Whoa, wait. King and a priest? That's not exactly your typical combo, is it?
Definitely unique in the Bible, but it gets even weirder. The lesson plan, it points out that this meeting happens in the Valley of Sheva, which means, get this, Valley of the King.
Whoa. Okay, double meaning alert. Is that like hinting that Melchizedek is the true king in this situation?
It makes you wonder, right? All these layers in the Bible.
Yeah.
And the symbolism, it doesn't stop there. When Melchizedek greets Abram, he doesn't even mention the battle. No expectations, nothing. He just offers Abram bread and wine.
Bread and wine. Why does that feel significant? Like, I've heard that somewhere before.
It's huge, right? Because that echoes through the whole Bible. This sharing of bread and wine, it points toward the Eucharist, Holy Communion in Christianity.
Dude, you're blowing my mind. Okay, so we've got Melchizedek, this mysterious king priest, meeting Abram in the Valley of the King, offering bread and wine. Yeah, I get why this meeting is a big deal.
And get this. After they share the bread and wine, Melchizedek blesses Abram in the name of God Most High. But the amazing thing, Abram, this powerful warrior, he could be all proud, right? But he humbly accepts Melchizedek's blessing.
Like, he recognizes something different about Melchizedek, a different kind of power, not just strength or military victories.
Totally. And how does Abram show that recognition? He gives Melchizedek a tenth of everything he got. That's a tithe, a huge sign of respect. Abram's acknowledging Melchizedek's role as priest. how close he is to God.
So let me get this straight. This powerful, mysterious figure connected to Jerusalem, offering bread and wine, receiving tithes. It's almost like he's a preview, foreshadowing someone else. The lesson plan really focused on that.
Absolutely. For centuries, people have seen Melchizedek as a prefigurement of Jesus, the prototype for Jesus as both king and high priest. Like this ancient story is giving us a glimpse of God bridging heaven and earth later on through Jesus.
Wow. Okay, that is mind-blowing. It really makes you wonder, who are we underestimating in our own lives?
Yeah.
Who have we dismissed because we're so focused on how things look on the outside, we miss their wisdom, their spiritual depth.
That's a powerful question to think about.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the book of Genesis. And we just scratched the surface, let me tell you.
Always more to discover.
So, until next time, keep those brains buzzing and stay curious.